How did a poor peasant boy manage to build a BMW-level car company? Did he always follow the honest path? What helped Hyundai survive all the terrible Korean crises? Sit back. In this video we will tell you all about the amazing story of Hyundai and its founder Jeong Joo-young, who could be the president of South Korea. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel to support our work. Here we go. Few people in the world have never heard of Hyundai. The cars of this brand have won the hearts of many drivers because they are good both in the inexpensive segment and in luxury. Today, this car company is on a par with BMW, Ford, VAG, FCA and others. However, few people know that this company is half a century younger than many of its competitors, and it was founded by a poor man. Hyundai translates as modernity, and this is clearly visible in the priorities of the automobile concern. Today, the South Korean automobile concern Hyundai Motor is strengthening its position in the global market of electric cars. The company is reducing the lag behind the market leader, Tesla. Hyundai is winning the hearts of young, trendy and affluent buyers. The company launched a large-scale expensive advertising campaign with BTS. The boy band released more than one video clip with Hyundai. Tom Holland is another weighty advertising face of the South Korean car concern. The popularity of the brand among millennials is noted by many analysts and even Financial Times. Moreover, in 1998, Hyundai Group acquired a controlling stake in Kia. In 1999, Hyundai Kia Automotive Group was established. Kia is an equally profitable South Korean brand. Together they have a really big weight in the global car market. Hyundai's history is very impressive. There is a tremendous amount of work behind this success. Of course, it looks like a fairy tale, but it happened in real life. Let's get to the bottom of it together. The founder of the Hyundai Group, Jeong Joo-young, was one of Korea's most powerful oligarchs until the end of his days. He even ran for president. In 1992, Jeong Joo-young was born in 1915 in the village of Osan. At that time, Korea was under Japanese rule, so it was not easy for the indigenous people. Koreans were forced to survive. They worked hard for a piece of bread and had no opportunity to give their children a decent education. Jeong was lucky. His parents did their best to make sure that he finished at least elementary school. At the same time, he had 7 brothers and sisters. Jeong dreamed of becoming a teacher, but his primary education was not enough. He had to give up that dream. From the age of 10, he did hard agricultural work as an adult. The main authority for Jeon was his grandfather. He knew Chinese and was able to introduce his grandson to the cultural heritage of the Celestial Empire. Thanks to his grandfather, Jeon began taking lessons at the local Confucian school, but his knowledge of a foreign language did not change his status in society. The road to college was still closed to Jew. At the age of 18, he ran away from home. In search of work and a better life, he traveled to Seoul. Life in the capital deceived Jeon's expectations. His dreams of a good job were unfulfilled. A Korean young man with no education could only count on the hardest labor. After working as a handyman for several years, Jeon got a job as a construction worker on the railroad. The money was enough for a modest meal and a rented sleeping place. Back then, automobiles were out of the question. Jew was just trying to survive and understand this life. However, Jew was doing fine and was not going to put up with poverty. He had already traveled a long way in search of a better life and was not going to give up without a fight. Jew took the risk of leaving his job as a construction worker and taking a job as a courier for a company specializing in rice trading. Luck finally smiled on Jeong. The store owner recognized his intelligence and entrepreneurial spirit. Jew was quickly promoted to storekeeper after a month, and a year later, he was promoted to manager. In 1937, after the death of his boss, Jeong became the owner of the store, and his siblings became the first employees. Alas, Jeong's happiness didn't last long. Things changed especially quickly in wartime. In 1939, the governor in charge of the Japanese-occupied Korean territories issued a decree that rice became a military product and had to be sold only with coupons. Jeong had to say goodbye to his successful business and return to his home village. Jew couldn't afford to have regrets about the one who had gone. He had to fight for his life. He bought a piece of land and did what he had been doing since childhood, farming. But he realized there was no money in it. While working in the fields, he carefully considered various business ideas. The main problem was control by the state. It took from poor peasants everything that was a primary use. Grown products were taken first of all. In 1940, Jeong decided to open an automobile repair shop. The Japanese government had little control over this area, so Joo had little chance to make money. Jeong had no idea how machines worked, but his business quickly became successful. Why? Even then, Jeong understood the value of delegating. He was able to attract talent, so he didn't have to know how to fix cars himself. In order to protect his business from too much scrutiny from the authorities, Joo established contact with entrepreneurs from Japan. This networking is one of the keys to Jeong's success. When a fire broke out in the workshop, it didn't ruin Joo. He borrowed money from local merchants. They knew him well and trusted his business. So, in no time, he rebuilt the business and enhanced his reputation. Jeong realized that he still had a long time to fight for his cause, so he worked constantly. It was important for him to consolidate his position because his business depended on wealthy clients, for ambassadors, officials, and other members of the political elite. His workshop was open every day, even on public holidays. Alas, Jeong could not resist the temptation to make money from the scam. He often misappropriated new original parts, installing quality knockoffs on foreigners' cars. He sold the fraudulently obtained components to local officials. When the Japanese authorities found out about it, they shut down his workshop. Then 70 craftsmen lost their jobs, and the entrepreneur himself was forced to return to the village where he was born. But even this time, Jeong did not give up. There, he hatched a plan to return to the automobile business. In 1946, Jeong returned to Seoul and incorporated Hyundai Motor Industrial, an automobile company specializing in the repair of American military vehicles. But this time, Jeong didn't hold on to the auto industry for long, because a more lucrative field had emerged. Japan was gone, and the US government wanted to get involved in rebuilding a devastated Korea. Huge money appeared in the construction business. Jeong decided to remember his early years in Seoul and get back into the construction business. In addition, his brother served as a translator for the American government, so the connections gave Jeong the opportunity to earn good money again. The early 1960s were a test for the entire country and President Park Chung-hee personally. After coming to power, the South Korean ruler began to rebuild the industrial sector, as all major industries remained on North Korean territory. The president managed to reduce the influence of Japanese authorities on the South Korean economy and to establish cooperation with the United States through active participation in the Vietnam War. Park Chung-hee also increased state financing of the chaebols. He not only increased investments, but also repaid the external and internal debts of the holdings. Hyundai was certainly among them. The president remembered that it was Jeon who was one of the first to work with the Americans and build facilities for the US military, so he made Joo one of his advisors. So Jeong reclaimed his lucky ticket thanks to his amazing communication skills. His business was booming and he could finally afford to get into the automobile business. In the early 1970s, Jeon acquired a license to manufacture Ford cars. The partnership was short-lived. Henry Ford's company had no intention of increasing its influence in the Korean market. At the same time, Jeong himself dreamed of producing his own cars, not copying other people's cars. In 1975, the first Hyundai car called Pony rolled off the assembly line. It instantly became the leader of the Korean car industry. The company used Japanese and British technologies. The Italian corporation Italdesign Giugiaro worked on the design of the car. The engine of Hyundai Pony was designed by specialists from Mitsubishi. Over 110,000 cars were produced in 4 years. Thanks to his bitter experience, Jeong decided to develop not in one field, but in several. Now his business was steadily going uphill. But instead of resting, he kept working and generating new ideas for making money. In parallel with Hyundai Motors, Jeong developed the shipbuilding business. In 1974, his company built one of the largest shipyards in the world in the port city of Ulsan. Within 3 years, Hyundai produced 2 supertankers, and in 1975, it absorbed the Mipo shipyard, creating a world-renowned shipbuilding company, Hyundai Mipo Dord. In the mid-1970s, Jeong launched a branch of Hyundai Machine Tools, which specialized in the production of lathes and milling machines. The company, now known as Hyundai Waya, produces up to 8,000 machine tools annually. In 1977, Jeong established electrical equipment production at Hyundai Electrical Engineering through a partnership with Siemens Corporation. In the following 3 years, the entrepreneur launched Hyundai Precision Train Parts, Hyundai Wood Industries, a timber processing plant, and a steel mill. What do you think generated the most revenue? shipbuilding companies, lathes, out. No, they were unprofitable. In 1987, Hyundai's holding consisted of 35 companies. The most profitable was the automobile subsidiary. Hyundai Motors increased its influence in the United States and Canada. By the end of the 1980s, more than 1 million cars were exported to the American market. The success of the automobile business allowed the company to compensate for losses, the main source of which were shipbuilding enterprises, whose development was slowed down by a shortage of contracts. But Jeon had problems in the car business as well. Apparently, he was traumatized by his childhood poverty and a series of failures at the beginning of his career, so he tried to keep his business at any cost. Hyundai's reputation was badly damaged by labor strikes. In 1987, the conglomerate's employees took to the streets of Ulsan more than once. The protests could only be suppressed with the help of the security forces. Jeon was known as a tough boss. He could afford not only shouting and rudeness to his subordinates, but also threw various objects at the offending employees. Both rank-and-file employees and heads of branches were hit. The company met the 1990s as the second largest holding company in South Korea with revenues of $35 billion. Jeon then decided to move on and become an official. In 1992, he founded the Unification National Party and won 10% of the government seats in the elections. Later, he even ran for president, but only came in third in the polls. Because of this, he fell into a long depression and lost interest in business for a while. Nevertheless, the holding continued to grow. By 1995, the conglomerate consisted of 60 companies employing over 200,000 people. Revenue exceeded $90 billion. In 1994, Jeon decided to change the company's management system. Hyundai had become too cumbersome and could not react quickly to market events. 3 years after the reorganization, the holding faced an equally serious problem, the Asian crisis. Even the automotive branch was on the verge of disaster. Unsuccessful acquisitions of KIA and Daewoo, which subsequently went bankrupt, almost put a cross on Hyundai Motors. The company was saved from ruin by a $40 billion investment directed by the IMF for the development of Asian countries. In 2000, the Korean government supported the holding company. The authorities wrote off some of the company's debts and channeled $31 billion in financing to support Hyundai. At the end of 2000, Joo stepped down as head of the company, handing over the position to his son Jeong Mon-hoon, and passed away a year later. At that time, Jeong Joo-young was the owner of a fortune of $6 billion. After Jeong's death, his business was divided among his sons. Today, Hyundai has the world's largest factory in terms of output. It employs as many as 4,000 people. The ultra-modern plant, with an area of more than 5 million square meters, produces 1.6 million cars a year. This is more, for example, than Renault's annual production. The Hyundai logo appears to be a simple lowercase letter H, but it is much deeper and more symbolic. In fact, the radiator grilles are decorated with a stylized handshake of two people. The implication is that they are a customer and a company representative. Hyundai Motor Company was ranked number 1 in the 2011 Automotive Customer Loyalty Engagement Index by consulting firm Brand Keys. Hyundai meets consumers' highest expectations, which is why it rightfully ranks number 1 in our rankings, said Robert Pasikoff, founder and president of Brand Keys. By far the most important indicator of how customers feel about a company is sales, and we see that Hyundai has a strong sales record today. The company continues to actively develop all over the world. Electric cars play a special role these days, and Hyundai is doing just fine with them. The South Korean automaker, strengthening its market position faster than one might expect. The Hyundai Ioniq 6 electric sedan can travel 610 kilometers without recharging, longer than Tesla cars. Hyundai's electric cars are catching up with Tesla in terms of prices as well. Analysts predict further growth for the company. Jeon's thorny path illustrates the role of reputation in the life of a company. Jeong was an incredibly driven, hardworking and outgoing person. His ability to negotiate with people and win their sympathy helped him get out of the most difficult situations. At the same time, as soon as he tried to take a dishonest path, he immediately got big problems. Jeon showed that you don't have to know how to rebuild an engine if you want to do business. You might be better off hiring someone who actually knows how to do it. Delegation is an important thing in any enterprise. Another important thing is diversification. Each one of us may find ourselves a crisis situation where the industry is making losses. In such cases, it is better to have a plan B that will help you survive and not lose your companies. Thank you for watching this video to the end. Don't forget to give this video like and subscribe to the channel. That way you'll really support our work. See you soon. Bye.